Welcome to Even Tacos Fall Apart, a podcast built to help break the stigma and start the conversation on the wide variety of mental health topics. I'm MommaFoxFire, and I'm thrilled to have you joining me once again for a candid conversation and some raw reflections. Before we dive into today's episode, a quick shout out to all of you who keep showing up, sharing your thoughts, and embracing the messiness of life with me. Today's topic is asking for help at all ages, and we're diving deep into the art of dismantling emotional walls, embracing vulnerability, and understanding that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, but an act of courage. And trust me, we've got an amazing guide for this exploration, the fabulous Wanda Davis, who brings wisdom, wit, and a sprinkle of magic to the conversation. Who hasn't found themselves wrestling with the idea of reaching out, whether you're a teenager navigating the storm of emotions or a seasoned adult dealing with the complexity of life? My hand is not up, by the way. Sometimes it's really hard to commit to asking for help. It can feel like failure or like you're not good enough on your own. But the reality is that asking for help is not a weakness. It's a very human need, and so universal that there are about 1,000 sayings around it. Things like, it takes a village, or asking for help is a courageous step, or ask for help not because you are weak, but because you want to remain strong. The only mistake you can make is not asking for help. Together we can do so much more. I mean, there you can just look. There are so many phrases around this. So Wanda and I will be chatting about the messy, beautiful journey of personal growth, and I promise you it's going to be a ride filled with laughter, insights, and hopefully a few aha moments. So grab your metaphorical shovel because we're digging into the layers of our emotional gardens, planting the seeds of self-love and nurturing the roots of authenticity. Whether you're in need of a gentle nudge, seeking validation, or just fancy a hearty chat about life, this episode is for you. So let's lean in, connect, and explore the transformative power of asking for help at all ages. It's time to turn up the volume, settle in, and let the conversation unfold. Yeah, hey, we're facing the right way. On Monday, I had to switch something over last minute. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another mental health interview for this week. This is the second one. So this is a Mental Health Wednesday. Normally I say welcome to Mental Health Monday, but this one is a Wednesday, and I'm super happy to be joined today by Wanda Davis. We are going to be talking about asking for help at all ages. Should be a great conversation. Wanda, thank you so much. I know we had a lot of trouble right before this, so I am so thankful that you stuck through the troubleshooting, and now we're going to dive into this.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So those of you who are here in the chat, we do have a question queue open. If you have any questions for Wanda, feel free to pop them in, and we'll get those asked while we are here and live. If you are on YouTube, joining us from YouTube, just type them in to the chat, and I will make sure to get them asked as well. So a little bit about Wanda before we get started. Wanda helps others discover their gifts and live through their hearts. She's an educator, certified life coach, Gene Keys guide, professional speaker, and best-selling author. Wanda lives in London, Ontario. Her children's book, From Head to Heart, which you can see right behind her, which I think is really cool, is really a book for all ages that opens discussions about feelings and encourages people to reach out for the help they need to gain better mental health. And I've got some links for you to Wanda's website. If you're interested in connecting with her, you can pop over there and get her email, phone number, all that good stuff is right there for you. So we do have a question in the queue already, and that is, what is your favorite poem?
What is my favorite poem? I would probably go with one from Rumi. And we can kind of keep going with this theme. We could say The Guest House.
I like
the whole idea about welcoming those emotions.
Yeah, that's great. And I don't think we've had that one before. We've had a couple of Rumi ones, but I don't think anyone has said that one. So here's a link to anyone who wants to check out that poem. And yeah, that's a great one. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So your work as a life coach and author focuses on helping individuals discover their gifts and live through their hearts. Can you share what inspired you to become an advocate for personal growth and mental health?
Well, it probably actually all probably started with my physical issues. So I have scoliosis. I had surgery at 16. Um, and somewhere along the way, probably not until I got into my 40s, that's when I discovered energy work. So I originally went into the energy field, thinking that would help heal and relax the muscles. It's that
Mm-hmm.
relaxation and going down and, hoping that would help the physical chronic pain that I have. But I realized really all that energy work really contributes a lot to mental health healing as well. So kind of started going more down on that path, and I've done all sorts of different types of energy work, from Reiki to healing touch, therapeutic touch. I've done shamanic work. I've done, so many of the different types out there. And it's just exploring them all.
Mm-hmm.
But then realizing, like, really when you start working with energy, it's all more about just keeping things moving and flowing without resisting things, without constriction, without the fears. And so it's really, you start looking at the different fears and things that you have of your own. Where are the things, and a lot of the things actually can have happened in childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of what inner child work perhaps needs to be done. Because, yeah, it was like maybe some of those fears of childhood, which would seem ridiculous as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow they formed a lot of your inner self way back when, and those things can continue. But all that energy work, it led me, like, I went into coaching. I dived into the gene keys, which is another great system of transformation. And it all kind of led to writing that book that's back there. I have another copy here. Yeah, so that was kind of just more because that book really is part of my own journey as well.
Mm-hmm.
And well, we can get into that as we go along.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's always neat to hear how someone got to where they are, because so many times it's your own life, it's your own story, it's you trying these
Hmm.
different things. And then once you find something that works, you're like, I gotta help other people, that kind
Exactly.
of thing. So
And
that's
that's
really
what,
neat.
with the energy work, that's why I started my own business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Teaching Reiki or whatever. And it just keeps expanding in different directions.
Yeah, that sounds familiar to me.
Yes.
So what do you do? What do you enjoy doing when you're not busy helping others?
Well, I love being in nature.
Hmm.
Love sitting in my own garden. So, with my back issues and stuff, I can't always do as much of the gardening as I used to. I'm great at pointing out to my husband as to what needs to be done.
Perfect.
But love just sitting in the garden. We also have two grandchildren now. So ages of
Congratulations.
almost 2 and say 3.5. So,
Aw,
so we get to play now as well.
you get to play and then hand them back.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's great. A couple of guests ago, I had a guest who was a little older than I am, who has a very young child, and I was like, I don't know how you have the energy. And she was like, you didn't know how you had the energy whenever you had your kids either, I'll bet. I was like, okay,
Exactly.
yeah, you're right.
That's so true. Yeah, you don't know what you can do until you're actually faced with it.
That is the truth. That is the truth. Aside from
Mm.
your own, do you have a favorite book or a book that you feel more people should read?
Um, my all-time favorite would be The Alchemist
Oh,
by
yeah.
Paolo Coelho. Yeah. So,
Yep.
just kind of following the dreams and your intuition and noticing the signs that are around you. Because really, the signs are there. You just need to be able to interpret them and, just kind of leading you on the life path that you're supposed to be leading. And of course,
Hmm.
as you're doing that, the more that you do that, the more that you can understand yourself, right? So living authentically by following this path that's meant to be for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one that I have had recommended to me a couple of times. It's already on my want to read list, but I haven't gotten around to it. So
And it's
sometimes,
such an easy read.
is it good? Good. So
Yeah, yeah, really quick and easy.
good. Yeah, I need a quick and easy one because I just
Yeah.
finished a really long, not easy one. Oh, so I got to get into a quick and easy one. So, on to kind of the topic tonight, which is asking for help from all ages, for all ages. Why do you think some people, regardless of age, find it challenging to ask for help or ask for assistance when they're struggling with their own mental health and personal growth?
Well, the first big thing would be shame, right?
Mm.
A lot of people may have been felt to feel shame for having to ask for help. It's the old, that old stigma way back when, or just you have to do things yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get anywhere if you don't struggle. It's like, really. And then it's also the fears.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever fears might be holding you back, fears that probably got you into the place where you are to begin with. But it's also the fact, too, that you need to have so much courage to even be able to get to that point. So it's like you've already had to do some sort of work in order to be able to build up that courage to be able to even ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, so it's like a whole continuum of, what step you're on and what needs to be done and what you're feeling. But yeah, shame sometimes is that biggest one, because that's really, as a society, we're trying to destigmatize mental health.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a lot of shame out there about it.
Yeah. Well, and just, I know from the folks who have been in my life who have really struggled with their mental health, there is a lot of stigma still, even now. But especially, before the pandemic, that really kicked off an awareness, I think, of mental health and the fact that we all kind of do need help sometimes. But that stigma is still out there, and it can be really hard to say, oh, I'm supposed to be this super strong single mom and I'm not supposed to struggle. I'm supposed to be here to help my kids, or I'm supposed to be this super macho manly dude and I'm not supposed to struggle. That's not being manly. Yes, I'll pet you, oh, kitty. And
But yeah,
those
it's
kinds
like
of
all
things
those
are still
things
out
where
there.
we've been told what we should be,
Exactly.
and maybe that's not you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the whole idea you're trying to live up to something that's not you anyways. So
Yes.
yeah, even more difficult that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, Tyrion, you're gonna have to get back on your little perch, please. Thank you. I love you so much. So, are there common misconceptions or myths around being various ages and seeking self improvement, and how do you dispel those for the folks that you work with?
Well, of course, everybody's going to be at their own stage, right? And everybody's going to grow at different rates. So it's like no matter what age you are, there is no one way of doing things. Everybody's going to be on their own journey. It's not going to be linear. Like there is no this happens and this happens and this
Mm-hmm.
happens type of thing. Everybody is so individual. Um, and it's not just about like positive thinking. It's like you can't positive think things to actually reach your goals that type of way. But that's just it, is like just being able to know that things are going to grow at different stages. And yeah, I don't know. How do I help dispel those myths, you said?
Mm-hmm.
uh I think it's just I think it's part of it, of having that self-conception.
Mm.
A lot of people don't think they're good enough to,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if you already have such a low self-esteem or whatever as well, having to have that realization of that self-love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to realize you are good enough to deserve better, right? And so it's like, sometimes you're even starting at those levels as well.
Yeah. Do you think that younger folks are willing to ask for help more, or that older folks are willing to ask for help more or less, or is there kind of a typical?
Well, I think it's more the younger ones are more willing to ask for
Mm,
help just because with the way that the mental health education has happened in the last couple of decades or so, especially as you said, the last half a decade.
hmm.
um,
That's
I
true.
think the younger ones, yeah, it's like as we kind of explore that more, I think the younger ones are willing to reach out more.
Yeah.
Whereas the older ones may be still stuck in the old ways and, not willing to help themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that I've seen with my own kids is just they're willing to say, I'm just not in a good mood. I don't think when
Yeah.
I was a kid, I don't think there was one single time where I said, I'm just not in a good mood. But I got a lot of like times where I was just not in a good mood, but I felt like I had to have a reason to be,
Yeah.
sad or angry or whatever. And it's just like, those emotions are just there today. I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just being able to explore it and just sit with it.
Hmm. Yeah, which is great.
But there was so many times, yeah, where it was like, you weren't allowed to show tears way back
Yes.
when, or
Yeah.
yeah, especially boys and men.
Hmm. Yep.
So, a lot of older people really kind of still are listening to maybe what their grandparents or parents had told them.
Yeah, absolutely. Bite Mark says we should ask for help like Tyrion asks for pets. He is persistent, insistent, consistent. He always wants the pets for sure. Tyrion's my cat. That's his name.
Yeah,
So he does. And she also says, I still struggle with if
funny.
I can't provide a solid, logical explanation for my feelings, I don't talk about them. And that's how I grew up. That's how we grew up. That's kind of I'm glad that this latest generation uh
Yeah.
seems like they're not necessarily growing up with that idea, which is wonderful.
But you also still, a lot of older people may still have judgment about that,
Yes.
thinking that, oh, they're too emotional, right? Because we're not used to, say, the older generation not having lived through that themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's like you start getting all the projections and judgments and the everything in there as well.
Mhm. For those who are looking to embark on their own personal growth journey, what first steps or resources do you recommend for them to start asking for help, regardless of their age now, and to start reaching their potential?
Um, well, I think the first part is probably just figuring out what you would like to get help with.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the mental health or some other area of your life. So it's like just, yeah, what area of your life are you looking for growth in?
Mm-hmm.
So, it could be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, any which area. And then just again that part before too about how again each person is an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Just because so and so's working on that doesn't mean that you need to be doing that. Um, and you really can't compare yourself to other people either. Just
Mm.
being it's like you need to have your intentions.
Yeah.
What are your goals? And, why do you want to improve in that area? So just being solid in terms of why you want to do it, that you're doing it for yourself and not somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, if it's for somebody else, it's probably not going to go so well, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is you can maybe do a little bit of research to maybe look at some ideas of, maybe you've got an area, whether again, physical, mental, emotional, um, and just get an idea of what direction you want to go in. And that's it, and then it's that formulation of that goal
Mm-hmm.
of where you want to be. And again, are you going to be asking for help to be able to reach that goal as well? So, whether you need a coach, whether you need a therapist, whether you need, whatever this mentor person perhaps might have to be, it doesn't matter. It could be anything from a fitness coach to, again, there's so many different people that you can ask for help out there.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really, it's all connected as well, too, right? Between, you could be looking at your mental health, but maybe you also need to improve some of your physical health to be able to do work with that. So
mm-hmm.
again, also interconnected. You know, if you kind of formulate one area that you want to improve in, and that's just it, is don't go huge to start either. You want to be able to start small and take those small steps and celebrate those steps along the way.
Yeah. Well, and by also, you're talking about don't go huge at first and also don't compare yourself to others. By the time you notice a change in someone else to compare to, they've already done a crap ton of work before that
Yeah.
to get to whatever change they've done. So you might not see a friend for 6 months and then you see them all of a sudden and you notice this huge change. Well, they spent 6 months working on themselves, and you can't say, oh, what did you do? And they say, oh, well, I started doing this therapy class or whatever, or if it's weight loss or something, careful with that, because it could be, oh, I have cancer and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't compare for multiple reasons, but also don't compare and then say, well, it's going to be overnight, because it's just not. The changes you see in
No,
someone else didn't
time.
happen overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. There's so much time involvement as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it, is be able to keep that motivation going rather than get discouraged.
Yeah, it's real easy to get discouraged.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So you're talking about motivation and helping others with self-motivation is a key aspect of your work. So what are some strategies or techniques that people of all ages, or maybe there are some for specific ages, younger, middle age, older, whatever,
Mhm.
what are some techniques they can use to become more self-motivated in their personal growth journey?
Well, a couple of things I think we've kind of already mentioned as well. It's like you have this goal that you want to have. But really, that goal needs to be attainable. So
Mm-hmm.
by you, right? So it's not something that, oh, but so and so did that. It's like, well, what is attainable for you? And then it's the whole idea of breaking it all up into all those little steps, because each step is going to carry you forward. Um, but it's like those small steps that you can like celebrate along the way, because that's where you can kind of keep the excitement and motivation going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the whole idea is like that attainable goal. You have to be able to believe in that goal yourself,
Mm.
and you want that goal. Because if it's not about you, yeah, you're not going to have any motivation for it.
Yeah. Is there a point where you say, okay, I'm not very self-motivated, or, one of your clients says, I'm not very self-motivated, and I don't know how to start being self-motivated. I want the goal, but I don't want to do the stuff to get there. Is there something that you tell them to do that helps them kind of just take that first
Mm-hmm.
step or get started?
Well, if I was to be coaching with a person, I think a lot of it would be those check-ins, right?
Mm.
It's like, well, have you done that one step we talked about? And if not, why? Or then you can start getting into the discussion about what are your feelings about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the fact is, um, was there fear about doing it? Was there, why haven't you been able to manage being able? So you can kind of go into it that way as well, right?
Right.
As to why haven't you been able to accomplish that step um, along the way? And it's like, is it just check-ins? You just need to be
Mm-hmm.
accountable to somebody. So sometimes that's where a coach or a friend or a mentor come in handy as well. Being, if you feel, because you're taking on that responsibility
Mm-hmm.
of being able to reach this goal, whatever it happens to be. And it's like staying responsible to yourself.
Yeah. I like the idea of having an accountability buddy. That's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Say that 3 times fast.
There's got to be a way to combine those terms and come up with a new term that's shorter.
Yeah, true.
Accountability buddy.
Yep.
Oh, something. Bite Mark says, I feel like a lot of things are like those origami vases that I make. It's a lot of folding and unfolding, and it stays really flat until the end when you open it up and it suddenly takes shape, but it wouldn't go into that shape without all of the work before. Yeah. Origami
Yeah,
baffles
that's
me,
it.
but
Yeah. No, but you can really get that picture, the image of it, right?
yeah,
That's neat.
absolutely. That's a really good comparison, also. Just there's so much
Mm,
work that goes into that, and you're not going to see any progress until all of a sudden, there it is.
yes, it's true.
Now, when you sent me your bio, and you mentioned this on your website as well, you mentioned living through the heart. What is living through the heart, and what are the benefits of that?
Well, first of all, it's like how would you live through your heart, I guess. And it all comes back to what we talked about probably at the beginning are the emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to sit with those emotions, listen to those emotions, is that whole idea of not being in your head, trying to understand everything and having your thoughts go a mile a minute, right? It's that more following it's that sitting with emotions, letting them flow, right? So emotions are really just energy in motion is what they say,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sitting with them, and quite often they're going to give you an idea, this those signs again, um, of what you could be doing. So it's that whole idea is being able to follow your intuition then. So if you connect with your heart, and I usually say, kind of doing that, just kind of taking those moments, those pauses to be able to connect with your heart and just seeing what feels right. As to uh, is it really sitting heavy for you, or does it feel light and like positive? And really just getting that feeling of living authentically that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
As to the way that how you can live in the present moment. And that's what it's kind of all about as well. Just being able to live from moment to moment
Mm-hmm.
as to what needs to be done. And of course, when you're focusing on your heart, it's like you're giving that gratitude for whatever you're doing, but it's the whole idea of being able to give and receive love too.
Mm-hmm.
So being open to that. So that again is kind of that piece from the book, whereas the heroine in the book, she armored herself, right? So essentially built a wall around herself for protection from bullies. But with that wall up, being unable to actually feel emotions, being able to connect with other people, it's kind of that armoring was just kind of that big barrier. But so to be able to be true to yourself, you need to be able to take down that armor to be able to actually connect with yourself as well as others.
Yeah. I really like that. I mean, I feel like I've probably put up a lot of walls based on my experiences in life, and
Mm-hmm.
they're there for a reason. It's hard to dismantle them, really it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your book for just a minute, because I know that the book kind of aims to open up the discussions about feelings and seeking help for better mental health. So, what messages or message do you hope that readers, young and old, will take away from the book?
Well, I think first and foremost, first of all, it talks about naming emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to identify those emotions and being able to openly discuss them, again, kind of what we were talking about before, that it's okay to feel emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That again, you don't need to bury them inside and hide them behind whatever armor you might have. But again, it's not identifying with emotions, but again, letting them move through. Um, Again, and the other big message part of it would be that it's okay, like, that armoring, those walls that we talk about, everybody has walls.
Mm-hmm.
They probably have them without realizing them.
Yeah.
But it's that whole idea of when you're faced with trying to take them down, when it is time, and you're like, I wouldn't know where to start, I don't know what to do, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help to be able to take down those walls.
Yeah. Can you hold up the book? I just want to see it again. So everyone can see it, what it looks like and everything. Oh, that is
Yeah.
really cute. That's really cute. I like it. I'm gonna have to get it for my
Yeah,
kids.
no, it's beautiful colors in it.
Did you illustrate it
I'm
as
quite
well?
No, I did not. And the illustrator is Lucas Tenson. So he is actually a fantastic illustrator, but he's also a musician,
Oh,
great
cool.
musician as well. So very talented in all the arts that way. And he actually lives here in London now as well.
Oh, nice. So do you
Mhm.
know each other personally or
Well, yes,
yeah,
yes,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
It's like we have a lot of mutual friends. So,
Yeah. I always wonder, how people decide on an illustrator for their books. But I guess if you know somebody already, then that's that makes it a little easier,
oh
doesn't
well,
it?
okay. Well, I was introduced by a friend. So
Okay, all right. Well,
that's
there
how
you
it
go.
happened. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's really cool.
yeah.
So, if you are talking to someone and you mention, living through their heart, and they say, "I don't even know how to start doing that," what would you tell them?
Well, the first step would be to pause,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just to be able to pause, take some breaths, you know, because with that moment, it's that releasing whatever thoughts are going on in your mind.
Mm.
And, whether it's to listen to your heartbeat or just whether you're able to connect with your own heart, depending on how easy it is for you to do. But that's just it, is like whether you're going to connect with the breath, whether you want to connect with your own heartbeat. And it just gives you that kind of anchor to be able to have a place to start from.
I like that. Just giving kind of that one physical thing to say, focus on your breath or focus on your heartbeat or whatever it is to be more in
Hmm.
the moment. I think that's great.
Yes, exactly.
This reminds me a lot of there are a couple of content creators who focus on exhibiting intuitive eating, and they're not focused on weight loss. I want to make that real clear, but they're just
Hmm.
like, they'll get a whole package of Oreos and they're like, okay, I'm going to start with 5. I don't even know what a serving size is, but I feel like I want 5. So they'll be like, they'll eat one and they'll say, that was really good. Am I satisfied? No, I really want another one. So I'm going to have another one. And then they just kind of like, they're voicing it out loud and saying, that was good. I'm emotionally satisfied. Am I physically satisfied? No, I'm not physically satisfied. Okay, well, maybe I'll have another Oreo. Maybe I'll go have a carrot or something. But whatever,
Or a glass of water, whatever it happens
yeah,
to be. Yeah.
it depends on what they're
Washing, need to wash it down.
right.
Yeah.
Depends on what they're eating or whatever. But they kind of go through all those steps of, am I emotionally satisfied? Am I physically satisfied? And
Mhm.
I had never look when I was in school. You scarfed down all your food so fast so you could get back to class and not be late.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a big change to go from that to then seeing someone who's really doing something so intuitively and in the moment. And this
Mhm.
reminds me a lot of that, just very way
Yeah.
of thinking. It's a change. It's really a change for a lot of people.
Yes, exactly. But again, it's practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything needs to have a practice.
Yeah. Yep. So, self love and authenticity are common goals for personal growth. What advice do you have for individuals who are looking to build self love and embrace their authentic selves?
I would still go back to pausing.
Mm.
Just being able to put those pauses into your life, into your day. So again, whether it's just a couple of breaths or whatever, or you're focusing on something of beauty or whatever it happens to be, right? Um, Again, bringing yourself back to that present moment, and whether you're looking at things of beauty or whether you're giving gratitude for something, just kind of builds you up inside, right? So you're more connecting with yourself that way. Um, And then the word contemplation comes to mind as well. And that's something that we do in the Gene Keys. We talk about contemplating something, right? So the idea that you're sitting there contemplating about a topic. So again, this isn't necessarily going to the living in the present moment piece, because then you're actually thinking about something. But it's like you're more just meandering it around in your mind. You're not necessarily coming to any big conclusions, because quite often the conclusions are brought to you, right? And it's that diving into your emotions. So sometimes it's like, well, why do I have that fear of being alone? Or why do I have that feeling that I'm never good enough? And really, again, contemplating, like pausing to contemplate on, whatever, something like that, where you need to work on it. Quite often, there's some of those basic fears that you might have in your life that are holding you back from doing different things. Quite often, it's that things that are holding you back from living your life with purpose.
Yeah. So you've mentioned gene keys, and I don't know what that is. So for those who might not know what that is, myself included, what is that?
Well, it's essentially a transformational system. It's based on astrology, on the I Ching, which is an ancient Chinese divination tool. Um, and essentially, what you end up getting is kind of like your gene keys profile. And this profile kind of goes through different areas of your life. Whether it's your inner life, your outer life, how you react, your relationships with others, all that type of thing. And there's 64 gene keys, which are at different levels of essentially the fear. The gift is kind of what you're hoping for, as well as the city, which is more closer to like the enlightenment piece of it, right? But the whole idea is like, when I first heard about the gene keys and I got my profile, you do it by entering your birth date and where you were born and all stuff, information like that. And that's where the astrology piece comes in. You actually get to look at your profile, and then looking at the different areas of your life, it was like, oh, well, self-doubt's in that area. Like, I go, yep, check that one off. And it's like over here, and you're looking at that, and it's like, oh, determination. You know what? I am pretty determined. So, I'll agree with you. And I was just so impressed with how it actually matched my own life that it was like, okay, I need to figure out more about this stuff. Yeah. And so, it is a huge system, and you can take it in little pieces, or you can take it in bigger chunks. Whether you go through the website or ask me for questions as well. I'm happy to take people through it, or be able to give them their Gene Keys profile reading in terms of just explaining what that piece of paper is that you can print off.
Right.
Right? Just to be able, as I said, looking at that profile and having a little bit more understanding about what it means. But again, it's just a system. But it's I like it as a coach, because it's just kind of giving you a lot of different areas in which to explore.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes people say, yeah, I want personal growth. I want to be, I want this. But it's like, well, what do you want? What do you want to really work on? And so this would, looking at your profile actually gives you, oh, okay. Well, self-doubt. I'm going to really look at and contemplate about that self-doubt piece. And like, let's face it, we could contemplate on that for months as to the times that I might have self-doubt, or why I have self-doubt, and where do I think that comes based out of, and it's like the more and more things that you contemplate on these things, it's amazing about the richness of the information that comes to light. And it's that kind of when things start coming to light, it's like that's when you start getting the changes within, right?
Yeah. That's neat. I haven't heard of that system before, but there are some of those astrology related oh gosh, there's one in particular that it has like gates and arches and
Well, okay, so Gene Keys
channels
is
and
actually also based on human design, which is what you're
okay.
talking about
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
So
That's the
it's
one.
not, yeah, it's not based on it, but it also uses human design
Yeah.
information as well. So it's kind of like it's taken all that and it's
Mm-hmm.
gone further type of thing. Yeah.
That's cool because
And
I
human
know.
design is also a great way to look at things
Yeah.
as well, looking at your human design chart.
You really so where I was kind of going with that is you need someone to explain that to you because I got
Yeah.
mine and I was like, okay, now I have 20 different tabs open trying to figure out what all this stuff means. And do I have time to go on this deep dive right now? Not really. Am I already
Well,
down the
well, that's
rabbit hole?
it.
Yeah.
You start with one little piece.
Yes. I did not start with one little piece. I was like, great, what's this? Great, what's this? Great, what's this?
Yeah.
So that's neat. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things out there that it's just they help you understand yourself a little bit better.
Exactly.
Kind of like a personality test. I don't know how many personality tests everyone has done, but I've done one for my job. They have you do the Insights Discovery personality test where it gives you the colors that you are.
Yep.
And they give you a report out and it's like 24 pages long. And boy, did they hit the nail on the head. It was like everything is accurate in that. It was kind of scary.
Yeah. From a little survey, right? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, we got a little sidetracked. I'll get us back on track. So you specialize in supporting women in their personal growth journey. Are there specific challenges or opportunities that women that you work with often encounter, and how do you help them overcome those challenges to reach their potential?
Well, we already mentioned that idea of comparing self to others. Like women are so bad at that.
Mm.
That's right. Because always wanting to, just comparing yourself to somebody else. So whether it's your friend or, celebrity or whoever it happens to be. But it's like, trying to say, okay, that's what I want. It's like, no, what do you want? And so being able to make that discernment. But it's also just that whole idea of it's not all like personal growth work can get dirty, right? And so as you're going through this stuff, there may be tears and release of whether it's fear or anger or, just or grief or who knows what it happens to be that might be bottled up inside you. So it's the whole idea of, you're still going to have to sit with whatever emotion might be tucked inside that you don't even know that it's there. But quite often you do have to sit with these things and contemplate about them for a bit to be able to get to the gold, which is your goal, right? A lot of people give up, right? They stop too soon because the going can get tough. But it's that whole idea of if you really want it, though, you will continue and slog through. But it's like working through that emotional work can be draining. It can be tiring. But just you have to just take that responsibility that it's like, I've taken this on and I want to get through it. And so it's just kind of sticking with it.
Yeah. It is very easy to get discouraged when you're on a longer journey with something.
Yeah. Yes.
And I do agree that women are so inclined to compare to neighbors, to friends, to other family members. It's so easy to compare to other people and say, why don't I have that? Why am I not like that? Why do they have this and I don't, kind of thing. So
But quite often you don't know what they have.
truth. That is the truth.
Right?
Yep, absolutely. Is this an emergency?
No.
Okay. Then you need to go back to bed, okay? Nope. Stop right there. You need to go back to bed. Thank you. I love you. Good night. Okay. Oh, his bedtime was more than an hour ago. So
Yes.
it's like a sometimes you just gotta be like, no, are you bleeding?
Yeah, exactly. Are you about to throw up? We're good.
Yes, right, exactly. Oh yeah, because there have been times where he's gotten up and he is about to be sick, and I'm like, "What are you doing
I
on the
just say to the
bed?"
bathroom. Yeah,
Right? I'm like, "Not on my
exactly.
bed." Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But part of that too, though, is the more that you can love yourself, the more that you can love others, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
that is somebody's goal as well.
Hmm. Are there different resources if you're working with someone who's very young or you're working with someone who is up there in age? Are there different resources that you recommend based on age or different
Well, you know
processes,
what?
maybe?
Yeah, because when you said resources, I was more thinking there's different mental health
Mm-hmm.
resources probably in each person's community.
Yeah.
So it's reaching out to those in your community, I would say first.
Mm-hmm.
And there are specific ones for children, specific ones for teenagers, specific ones for adults, right? So if a person is still in school, and it's like schools have so many resources as
Mm-hmm.
well. So whether that's with the guidance counselor, the learning support teacher, or even just the office, right? If somebody is looking for a resource that way, so they can easily ask,
Mm-hmm.
or even just the teacher, right? Being able
Yeah.
to ask their teacher to help them find what they need, because maybe the teacher doesn't have the answer, but they can help them look for it.
Yep.
So when it comes to adults, though, again, too, it's like, what's in your community that you can look at? It's like here in Canada, we have the Canadian Mental Health Association. We have like Jack, which is more of I think that's more provincial. So it's like, there's so many different organizations out there that are doing terrific work.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if it's within your own community, I think you could feel the benefits that much
Yeah.
closer and faster. Yeah.
Yeah. And schools have gotten so much better about, we used to just have a school counselor. The school counselor was really there to help you with like your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily actually with anything related to counseling. So,
Yeah.
but they have the mental health resources available to kids now is vastly improved, which I'm super grateful for. And then reaching out within your community, I think, is a good way because you want to be surrounded by people who get whatever it is you're facing, whatever it is you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be surrounded by like-minded people. So finding people around you is going to be really helpful
And
as
different
well.
support groups, perhaps, that you can actually
Mm-hmm.
attend. Yeah. So whether in person or online. So,
Yeah.
yeah, being able to reach out for credible help, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I say in your community, some of those organizations, you don't want necessarily just to going on the internet and just asking and looking for help that way. I would rather a person go to a credible organization that's
Mm-hmm.
in their community.
Yeah. And then also, I'll throw out there if you are currently working for a company, see if they have an employee assistance program. A lot of the time, they
Yeah.
can connect you, they can help you find the local resources, and you don't have to put in the legwork. Or they might know of things that aren't easily found, also. So, my EAP through my job has been pretty helpful in that regard, as far as legal services, mental health
Yep.
services, all kinds of stuff. So, check with your employer. Some employers have great packages that they can
Hmm.
offer
And
and help
again,
you
that
with.
all comes down to probably where you live
Yep.
as to what might be available. Because actually, in Canada, that's one of my other hats that I wear, is I'm also a facilitator for TELUS Health.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I actually lead a lot of EAP presentations, telling people what's in their EAP.
Yeah.
So yeah, working for
It's a
that now.
lot. Like the first time I used our EAP was in like 2017, and it was truly an emergency situation. I needed help right then, and my boss was just like, "Here's the number, call him,
Yep,
talk to him."
good.
And as after I got through what I needed, I was like, I'm kind of surprised they could help with that. What else do they do?
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
a
people
lot
are
of people
always
just don't know.
surprised to find out how much there is there for help, right?
Yeah.
So whatever area of your life that might be causing stress.
Yeah, there were it was like, it was crazy broad. It was like legal services, teaching communication, teaching budgeting,
Yeah.
financial advice, all kinds of stuff. It was wild to me.
Yeah. Now those online resources I would also trust though too. Because
Yeah.
quite often each company, each AAP also has like a digital library of
Mm-hmm.
resources.
Yep.
And those will be credible resources, like with good information
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
able to do some research with as well.
Yep. And if you're not working age, ask either your parent or your child, depending on your current age, what resources they can help you find. Asking
Yep,
for help
perfect.
from someone who can just help you find the help.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's just being able to, it's out there.
Hmm.
You just want to be able to need to get connected with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is time for our magic moment. So I have this beautiful magic wand here, and it is rainbow and glowing. If you could wave a magic wand and eliminate one common opinion or misconception or theory surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health, what would it be?
And I always love that whole idea of a wand too, because my name's Wanda, right?
Ah, perfect.
Yeah. And I think it would be circling back to what we kind of even started with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So removing the stigma
Mm-hmm.
about improving one's mental health, that there's no shame in asking for help.
Yeah. And that's such a critical one. If more people understood that there's really no shame in asking for help.
Yeah, no shame, no blame, just being able to have more discussion. And really,
Mm-hmm.
it's like everybody is working on something. You're not alone.
Yeah. I really wish more people understood that. Most definitely. Well, we are kind of wrapping up here. So, Chad, if y'all have any other questions for our guests, feel free to pop them in there. I'm going to share Wanda's website one more time for y'all if you want to get connected on there. And I'll just turn it over to you, Wanda, and say if there's any resources or personal recommendations or anything that we haven't talked about. Feel free to share.
We've covered so much already. Yeah, and again, it's that maybe people who have been listening to this are trying to think about, well, what could I be working on? Or, because it's not a should be working on necessarily, right? It's that personal growth. What do you want to be working on? Where do you want to move forward in your life? What can you improve in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just more kind of really playing with those goals and setting some goals for yourself and setting out, and of course, asking for help along the way.
Yep.
From different people, different areas, getting different resources for you to be able to get there.
Absolutely. And I sometimes you have to phone a friend, so I want to give a shout out to Bite Mark for being willing to help me before this stream started, because we had so much difficulty.
Technical difficulty.
And we don't know what fixed it either. No clue.
No
clue. But something did. Something fixed it. So
the cat did it. The cat
I know.
did it.
Tyrion's like, hey, it was me. I fixed it.
Yep.
Probably chased those mice out of there, huh?
Exactly.
So
Well, and I guess just one thing too, I was just going to point out too, is like, even though, as I said, this is a children's book, this book is great for any age. Because I think a lot of people can see themselves in this book. And it just kind of helps them turn it around as well. And there's just so many different layers to it. A lot of adults can see, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I will take a look at that area. That whole idea about armoring and the walls and barriers, and of course, that difference between like what's a good boundary versus what's too much of an armor. Just a lot of areas that we can explore that way as well.
Yeah, that's great. Like I said, I'm gonna get it for my kids, but probably will help me too.
Well, it's just a great starting point.
Yeah.
Just being able to, you pick a spot or an area of that needs discussion, like what's pertinent in that person's life at the time.
Absolutely. Well, Bite Says, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. This has been a wonderful conversation and made my Wednesday way better. And I will echo that. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate you taking the time out.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Thank
Jack.
you very much.
Give me just a minute. We're going to disconnect with Wanda and I will be right back. Stick around. What an incredible exploration of the importance of asking for help at all ages with the amazing Wanda Davis. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired and ready to take on the world one vulnerable moment at a time. As we wrap up this episode, let's reflect on those gems of wisdom Wanda shared. The power of identifying and openly discussing our emotions without getting bogged down by them. The courage it takes to ask for help and tear down those emotional walls. And the transformative magic that happens when we dive into the depths of our own emotions. Life can be a wild ride, and as we navigate its twists and turns, remember that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to our strength and resilience. It's a reminder that we're not alone in this journey. If today's conversation struck a chord with you, share your thoughts. Connect with me on social media. I'm at MommaFoxFire everywhere. Or head over to tacosfallapart.com and let me know what your takeaways were. I'm always here for a good chat, and who knows, your insights might just make it into a future episode. Before we part ways, a gentle nudge. If you've enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give a like, and leave me a review as well. Your support and engagement means the world and helps me spread the message of embracing life's messy moments. So until next time, keep embracing the messy moments in your life, and always remember, even tacos fall apart and we still love them, and I still love you. Until next time, take care, be kind, and stay authentic.